Welcome back, readers. Today we are back for another weekly download. So let's get started. So we're going to start with one of the books I read this week. This is Are You There, Vodka? It's Me, Chelsea, by Chelsea Handler. So it is memoir. It's basically a bunch of different stories from Chelsea's life that she's telling. I haven't read this one before, but I've read a book of hers before, like maybe 10 years ago or more. So when I remember reading one of her other books all those years ago, and I really liked it. I thought it was great, it was fun, and I enjoyed it. However, when I was reading this one, I kind of had the opposite. It's not that it wasn't well written, because she's a good writer. I just didn't like reading her stories and what she was talking about. I honestly felt like she came across as very entitled and unlikable, and I just really wasn't into it. I would probably give this book like a 2, maybe a 3 out of 10 and say maybe it's a pass. I'm just a little sad because I really did enjoy her books previously, and I just couldn't really get into it anymore. I guess that's just, me growing up and having different tastes. So that's it. I'd say give it a pass. Okay, so the next book, I read a bunch of essays about Firefly. This is Finding Firefly. It's a collection of essays by other authors and writers and stuff like that, talking about the show that was Firefly. And I loved this show back in the day, and it came out like 20 years ago, which is crazy to think about. I just started rewatching it on Hulu because I read this and I really wanted to watch it. I got this great shirt. It's like a crossover between Invader Zim and Firefly, and it's great. I've had this for a very long time. I just can wear it again. So I would say go ahead and check these out. If you are a fan of Firefly and enjoyed that show or the movie Serenity, then I'd say go ahead and check this out. I'd give it a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and it's a really interesting read. So another book I read was the second book in the Dancing Plague books by Jeremy Bates. I will go ahead and put that up here for you. So Jeremy Bates, if you watch my channel, will know is a horror writer. I love his books. He is an amazing author. The first book in this set of 2 was just The Dancing Plague, and then this one, as you can see, is The Dancing Plague 2. I loved that one. The first book I'd give 9 out of 10. It's definitely in my top 3 of his books. I've read them all, and I'll basically read anything he comes out with. A lot of his books are on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have an Amazon Kindle and you have their subscription to the Unlimited, you can get a lot of those. I didn't want to wait for this to eventually show up on Unlimited, so I purchased it, and it was well worth it. I would say this one is an 8 out of 10. Wasn't quite as good as the first one, but it was still amazing. And it was a great wrap-up to the story. So if you love horror or urban legends or scary places, then this series is definitely for you. And this author is definitely for you. Even if you're not like the biggest horror fan, like if you like mysteries or that kind of thing, you might want to check him out too. Because he's, like I said, really good. Hands down, recommend. So now let's take a look at my brain stopped working. Let's take a look at the book I'm most looking forward to reading this week. So this is called Best Friends Forever. It's by Megan McCafferty. So Megan McCafferty is like one of my favorite authors. She wrote the Jessica Darling series I started reading that when I was in high school, which starts with Sloppy First and the main character, Jessica Darling. So this is a different series from that. This is more middle grade, whereas the other one's more young adult. This is a sequel to True to Yourselfie, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I will read anything by her, and when the Jessica Darling books were coming out, I'd reread when the next one came out. So by the time the 5th and last one came out, I'd probably read the first one like 6 times. That's how much I like her and her books. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I will let you know how it is, and see if it holds up to all the rest of her stuff. So that's it for this episode. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to the podcast I've been listening to this week. I've been listening to the Danger Close podcast, which is hosted by a former Navy SEAL, Jack Carr, who is also the author of The Terminal List, which was made into a series on Amazon starring Chris Pratt. Go check out The Terminal List. Great books. Jack Carr. And go check out the podcast. If you like listening to podcasts and just some interesting and cool stories that these people are talking about, go check out the Danger Close podcast and the book, The Terminal List. I'll put that here. Jack Carr. It's great. So, for real this time, until next time, just keep reading.